Andrew McCabe, that former FBI special agent. ROBYN GRITZ joins me now. ROBYN, thank you for being here this morning. If you would, first of all, for our viewers, share your story as it relates to Mr. McCabe.
I worked with Andy from around 2005 until the end of my career, different capacities. I was at the Washington field office. He was my assistant special agent in charge. And then when I went back to counterterrorism in 2012, he was the assistant director over the FBI, over the counterterrorism division.
And so, what happened to you that caused your dismissal?
I was selected as a senior detailee to the CIA, and I had two individuals, my boss and a coworker, started scrutinizing my work and started asking questions about, was I fragile from getting divorced? Maybe I should step down and take a less stressful job. And they just made some discriminatory comments about why I was traveling and such. At the same time, they were doing similar talks like this to an African-American detailee that worked with me. So I put my foot down and I said this needed to stop. And I talked to my supervisor on the phone and I said, I really think this needs to stop. I feel like I'm being treated differently. And as I started another sentence, he says, well, if you take that route, I'll pull your time cards. So he threatened if I got an EEO.
So what ultimately did that person wasn't Andy McCabe, but what ultimately?
No.
How was Andy McCabe involved, or was he?
He was involved. When I filed my EEO, when I made contact with the EEO, 5 days later, Andy McCabe signed off on an internal investigation referred to him by the individuals that I signed the EEO against, and he authorized that internal, it's an OPR, but he just got fired from, and he authorized that investigation against me, and knowing, he says in his sworn statement that he knew that I was either filing or going to file an EEO. What happened after that, basically, I went through hell for a year and a half, and Andy made sure that I couldn't get out of the division. I was selected for certain jobs, and he actually slandered me, went into the meeting at headquarters and said really nasty, false things about me, lying, which is why he just got fired. And after a year and a half, it got to the point where I knew I wasn't going to win.
Sure.
And I ended up resigning after 16 years fighting terror with the FBI.
Well, ROBYN, in light of that, what do you make of how Andy McCabe is characterizing his dismissal and sort of playing the victim?
You know, I talked to a few people. The night that he got fired, I would have to say he is talking in his op-ed how the president doesn't understand the FBI and how much they respect their leaders. He's talking about that Trump's trying to disrupt the Russia investigation, everything like that. What I got that night was a good 50 messages from analysts and from agents across the United States celebrating that he finally was held accountable. And I actually was in a restaurant and I screamed when I found out he had been fired. And I feel it should have been a good year ago that he was on the street without pay, because if you're a normal street agent, would have been on leave without pay or fired about a year ago.
Well, ROBYN, I think you speak for a lot of people. Accountability matters, and when it doesn't exist, yes, it's corrosive, and when it does, people are grateful for it. Thank you for telling your story. We appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.